Baruch Hashem, we're up to chapter 13 of Exodus, verse 20. Vayisumi Sukkos, and they traveled from Sukkos, Vayachanu be'etam, and they camped at Etam, B'ktzei Midbar, the edge of the wilderness. Rashi says, when did they travel from Sukkos? Bayom HaSheni. This was the second day after they left Egypt, because on the first day, Hare Barishon Bo Mi Ramses to Sukkos. On the first day they came from Ramses all the way to Sukkos. V'Hashem holech lifneihem yomam b'amud anan l'mchosam haderech. And Hashem was walking before them during the day to guide them. V'layla, and at night b'amud eish, at night in the pillar of fire la'ir to illuminate for them. V'alachet yomam v'layla, to go walk day and night. So during the day God walked before them in a cloud to show them the way, and at night in a pillar of fire to illuminate for them, to go day and night. Rashi says, on Chosam HaDerech, to guide them on the path. Rashi says, Nikud Patach, that the vowel is Lan Chotam, Shehu Kamo Lahan Chatam, or to show them the path. It's like he is showing them the path. Afkan lahan chotam ayidei shliach. So God led them forth through an agent. Umihu shliach. Who is this agent of God? Amud anan, the pillar of the cloud. Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'chvodo molicho lifneihem. And God, in His honor, was leading it before them. Even though God was Himself leading them, nevertheless, mikol makom, says Rashi, at Amud anan hichin lahan chotam. He prepared the cloud to guide them, al yado, through him. Sharei ayidei Amud anan hemochon. Through the pillar of cloud they walked. And the pillar of the cloud was not for the light, but l'horotam haderech, to show them the road. Rashi says, Hashem holech lifneihem, God, the Torah Tamima says, God was walking before them. Mikan sharav shemachal kvodo kvodo machal. We see from here that a rabbi who wants to be a rebbe, who wants to waive his honor, he's allowed to do it because God Himself waived his honor. So for sure, a rebbe can. And the reason is because the honor one is supposed to have for the rebbe is similar to the honor one must have for Hashem. The Gemara Baba Kama says, Amrei Rava Rabba Barmari. Minal Melsa the Amri Inchi. Where do we know this teaching that people say, Karavinan Zutari, that means to say, hold on 1 second, which is when you come to Zutari, the Gavri, Hashta de Kashishna, when you come to when about the young, and now it's a man that is older, with Dardaki, Amarway, to the youth, say to him, Hashem At first it says God was walking before them to illuminate. Well, Besof, and in the end it's written, in the end it will be, I'll send an angel before you to guard you. So at first it was God, and then in the end it was an angel. Maharsha explains that first God walked before them, and afterwards he sent an angel. But that's difficult, because what's the connection between youth and old age? And in the end, God himself will walk before the Jewish people. It says, Ki olech nechem. So the Torah Tamima says the purpose was to hint to what was the purpose of the walking in both places. Here, the purpose was to guide them and to illuminate for them, and that is the natural way, like those who lead youth and old. But there, it says l'shmorcha baderech in mishpatim. In shmira, but guarding, that's specifically on children because the adults they don't need special watching. Okay, so now we're up to the next pasuk. Oh wait, there's another famous teaching about this from Avodah Zarah. Unkuas bar Kolonimus Igayer. Unkuas, the son of Kolonimus, converted. Shadar Caesar Gunda de Romi Basrei. So Caesar sent a troop of Romans to him to speak to him and to bring him back from being Jewish. So Uncle said, I'm going to tell you something. Nafiora nakat nura kame pipiora. Payoro aduchsa, duchso agamona lakoma. Avokoma minakat nura kame inish. So basically, these are all different levels of officers, and each one is holding the fire in front of the one who's more senior than him. But then it says the Koma, the highest authority, does he hold the fire for everybody? So they say no. But God holds the flame in front of the Jewish people. Because it says God walks before them to illuminate for them. So all these other officers, they illuminate it for the one who's more superior than them. But Hashem is the opposite. He illuminates for us, even though obviously we're the least. So that's the Gemara Avodah Zarah. The pasuk says, "Lo yamisha amuda anan yomam v'amuda eish lailo ne'am." The pillar of fire did not depart during the day. The pillar of cloud did not depart during the day. The pillar of fire did not depart at night before the people. Rashi says, what does it mean? Lo yamish amuda anan yomam v'amuda eish laila. What does it mean? This teaches us that the pillar of cloud completes the pillar of the fire, and the pillar of fire completes the pillar of the cloud. What that means is that the pillar of the fire comes prior to the pillar of the cloud departing each day, and that's what it means. The Rashi explains the reason is lo yamish is extra, so it teaches us it never was empty. The Gemara has a different story about this. The Gemara tells a story that the wife of Rav Yosef was delayed, and she lit the candle for Shabbos when it was almost dark. So it says Rav Yosef, didn't we learn Yamisha Amud Anan? And Rashi explains that the pillar of fire came before the sunset. So we see from here that basically this is support that the fire comes just before the sun sets. Maharsha writes, and so he says he brought this because the pillar of fire comes before while it's still daytime. So while it's still daytime, you should light the Shabbos candles. And the Gemara then says that after the wife of Rav Yosef heard this, she thought to light the candle a lot earlier. So he said to her, so there was a Saba, an old man who said, as long as you don't make it too early and not too late. Well, of course we understand too early, but we don't understand why does he have to specify not too late. So that's a whole question. Okay. Now we're up to the next pasuk. Vaydaber Hashem Moshe, Moshe, God spoke to Moshe saying, Daber al bnei Yisrael v'yashuvu v'yachanu ifnei pi hacharos. Go speak to the children of Israel and tell them v'yashuvu. Go backwards. Go backwards and camp before the pi hachirot, between Migdol and the sea. Ifnei Baal Tzafon. Nechachot tachanu al yam. God told them to go backwards. Why? Here Rashi says, v'yashuvu achareim. Go backwards. Towards Egypt. They would go out the entire third day. They were going back to Egypt in order to confuse Paro. So Paro should say that they're making a mistake in the wilderness, like it states, Ramar Paro of Bnei Israel. And that's what Paro says. Amar Paro of Bnei Israel. Paro said, wait, we skipped the Rashi. Camp before another name for Pitom. Now it's called Piachirot because they became three there. There are two tall stones, upright, and the valley in between them is called the Piaslaim, the mouth of the rocks. Ifnei Baal Tzafon, Rashi says this is the last one of all the gods of Egypt that was left in order to help them make a mistake so that they'll say that God couldn't destroy it. V'amar Paro, when Paro heard that they were coming back, he said to Bnei Israel, it doesn't mean V'amar Paro of Bnei Israel, that they're confused in the land. The wilderness is closed over them. Rashi says it doesn't mean that they were. It doesn't mean to Bnei Israel, but he said about Bnei Israel, al Bnei Israel. Nevuchim heim. Rashi says that they're lost. They don't know how to go out, and they don't know which backwards and forwards. The Lechizakti slave Paro, and now Rashi says, God says, and I'll harden the heart of Paro. The Radaf Acharayim. Paro will pursue them. And I will pursue them and all of his army, and then Egypt will know that I am Hashem, and they did that. Rashi says, Paro. When God takes revenge on the wicked, Rashi says, that his name is made great and honored. The Paro b'chol chelo, Paro and his whole army. Rashi says, "Who itchil ba'avera, u'mimenu atchila ha'pranos." The punishment, sin started with him. The punishment started with him. V'yasu Cain, and Bnei Israel did this. Rashi says to tell us the praise that they listened to Moshe, and they didn't say, "How can we go back to the one who's pursuing us? We need to run away from him." But rather they said, "All we have are the words of Ben Amram." And it was told to the king of Egypt that the people had run away. And the heart of Pharaoh turned and his servants towards the people. What do we do? They said, we sent off the Jewish people from serving us. Rashi says, who told Paro? He sent an Iktorin, like a spy. Once they came to the 3 days that they had decided to go, so they weren't going back. They came and they told Paro on the 4th day. And the 5th and the 6th days, they ran after them. And on the 7th day was Pesach. Therefore, we read, Rashi says, the Shira, the song, the Shira on the seventh day. And Paro saddled his chariot and he took his people. Rashi says, Hu batzmo. He saddled the chariot himself. Esamo kachimo. And how did he take his people? Mashcham b'dvarim. He took them with words. Lakinu, he said, he said, we've been lashed, they took our money. And then we sent them away. Come with me, and I will not lead you like the other kings. Other kings, the servants, go before him into battle. But I will go before you. As it says, Paro Ikriv atzmo. Paro went first before the rest of his soldiers. The way of the other kings is to take the booty at first, whatever he wants, but I will split it with you. Achalek shalal. He took 600 chariots, 600 rechav bachor. Rashi says 600 horsemen, the best. Every chariot was the best. And with all these 600 best, he then took all the other chariots. So where did they have all these horses? If you want to say they're Egyptians, but didn't they all die? And if you want to say it's from the Jewish people, but we said we also took our cattle. So where did they get the horses? So Rashi says, from those who feared God. From here, Rabbi Shimon said, the best of the Egyptians kill. The best of the serpents crush his head. ויקח 600 רחב בחור, כל רחב מצרים ו50 בחור. ויחזק השם את לב פרעה מלך מצרים, and God hardened the heart of Paro. וירדוף אחרי בני Israel, and he pursued Israel. בני Israel יוצאים ביד רמה, and they left with a strong arm. ויחזק השם את לב פרעה, שהיה תולה אם ירדוף עם לאו. Paro wasn't sure, and God hardened his heart. ביד רמה, b'gvura gavor l'forsemes, with strength. Publicly, everybody knew about it. Vayirdefu Mitzrayim acharem, and the Egyptians pursued them. Vayasigu otam, they caught them. Chonim ma'ayam, camping by the sea. Kol sus rechav Paro, every horse from the chariot of Paro, Farashav and his horsemen, v'chilo and his army. Al pi achirot l'vein ba'al tzafon. Rashi says nothing on this. Paro came close. And the children of Israel lifted up their eyes. Egyptians were running after them. They were very afraid. And the Bnei Israel cried out to God. Let's see what Rashi says. Paro Ikriv. It should have said Paro Parav. Why did it say Hikriv? Means Hikriv Atzmo V'nitameitz L'kadem Ufneihem Kamoshe Isnaimim. He went first, like he promised his people. Behold, Egypt was following after them. Rashi says, all of Egypt was in agreement. Alternatively, what does it mean? They saw the angel of the Egyptians traveling down from heaven to help the Egyptians. They cried out to God. Rashi says they grabbed a hold of the weapon, so to speak, or the tool that their fathers used. By Abraham, it says Al makom asher mat shem vayitzlach lasuch b'sadeh v'Yaakov v'yifka b'makom. So they knew how to pray. Vayomru Moshe, they said to Moses, Amibuyin kvarim b'Mitzrayim, were there not enough graves in Egypt? L'kachtanu amut b'midbar, that you took us to die in the wilderness? Mazot asita lana, what did you do to us? Hotzienu miMitzrayim, to lead us out of Egypt. Rashi says, V'chimachmas chisaron kvarim, were there not enough graves? And then it continues. The pasuk says, "Hello is there." One more. This is the matter which we spoke to you in Egypt, saying, "Chadal mimenu, cease from us, v'nabdas Mitzrayim, we will leave us and we'll worship, we'll serve Egypt. Kitov vanu avodas Mitzrayim v'seinu b'midbar. We would rather serve Egypt than die in the wilderness." Rashi says that we spoke to you in Egypt. Where do they speak to them? He quotes the pasuk, "Yarei Hashem alachem v'yishpot." Mimusenu. No, skip that Rashi. Pasuk Gimel. Vayomer Moshe El Al Tira. Moshe says to the people, "Don't be afraid. Yisyatzvu ruas Yeshuas Hashem. Be firm, and you'll see the salvation of God. Asher Yasel Lachem Hayom, that He will do to you today. Ki Asher Item as Mitzrayim Hayom. That which you see Egypt today, Lo Tosifu Lerotam Od Adalam. You'll never see them again." Rashi says, "Ma'asher Item Otam Enu El Hayom." That which you see them is only today. Today you'll see them, but you'll never see it again. Hashem Yochem, God will fight for you, and you'll be silent. God will be your warrior, Bishvilchem, for you. Okay, next chapter. Yomer Hashem Moshe, God says to Moshe, Ma titzakilai, why are you crying out to me? Where does it say you cried out? So he says, why are you crying out to me? Daber b'nei Yisrael, speak to the children of Israel. So this is one of my. So Rashi says, Moshe omeinu mispalel. Moshe was standing and praying, and God said to him, "This is not the time for prayer. There's not the time to say a long prayer. Shei Yisrael, the Sunim B'tzar, the Jewish people are in distress." So God told him to not pray. Alternatively, the matter is dependent upon me and not upon you. As it states, Al-Banai, Al-Pol Yadai Titziveni. Rashi says at that moment Moshe was saying a long prayer. God said to him, this is the full Gemara in Sota, Yididai Tovim Bayam, my beloved are drowning in the sea, and you're saying a long prayer? So what should I do? He said, speak to the children of Israel and move. Lift up your staff. Okay, we'll stop here. Baruch Hashem, the Daf Yomi will be at 5:30. Yasher Koach.